Asante sana. I think we can begin. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for making it to this press briefing. For years now, life has been very difficult for millions of Kenyans due to unemployment, low incomes, and the rising cost of essential commodities. The COVID-19 pandemic worsened this situation in two directions. The measures taken to contain the spread of infections basically shut down the economy, closing up opportunities to work and earn a living, and disrupted global supply chains, causing shortages that drove the prices of basic goods beyond the reach of many households. In addition, Kenya and the entire Horn of Africa region underwent 5 successive seasons of failed rains, leading to devastating famine, death of livestock, and withering of crops, further worsening food shortages. The resultant economic hardship followed years of declining agricultural production in our country. This meant that the earnings of people employed in agriculture, who make up to 70% of the country's workforce, were diminishing as the cost of living rose steeply. Scarcity of essential food items drove the cost of food as a share of household expenditure all the way to 54% on average. For these reasons, the bottom-up economic transformation agenda recognized that Kenya's poor economic performance was primarily due to underperformance of agriculture. Agriculture's contribution to employment, to incomes, foreign exchange, cost of living, and industrialization has two related implications. One, neglecting to invest in agriculture deprives the economy of a tremendous opportunity to grow steadily, increasing unemployment, poverty, and inequality. Two strategic interventions in agriculture can ignite the national economy and set it on the path to inclusive growth. On my first day in office, I outlined to the nation the hard times and difficult choices we faced, as well as the respective costs and benefits of policies at the time and the strategies proposed in our agenda. It was clear that low agricultural productivity was not only raising the cost of living, but also driving poverty among millions whose livelihoods are connected to agriculture. And as I've said, 70% of all employment is from the agricultural sector, with its linkages in manufacturing, value addition, and agro-processing. At the same time, the importation of food items and expenditure on subsidies, including duty waivers, were depleting our foreign exchange and exerting severe budgetary pressure without attacking the fundamental productivity problem. We were living dangerously and beyond our means. I therefore propose to retire the prevailing policy of subsidizing consumption in favor of subsidizing production. Instead, we started investing in agriculture, the country's biggest employer, largest contributor to our GDP, and the mainstay of all our rural communities and economies. The strategic objective of this intervention was to facilitate all Kenyan farmers to transform their production from a futile struggle for meager subsistence, which comprises brief moments of food availability, followed by long periods of scarcity, malnutrition, and poverty. Instead, we transformed this to surplus production, food security, and sustainable incomes. Because arable land in Kenya is limited and our population has increased over the years, the only way to increase agricultural productivity is through the use of high-quality inputs, in particular fertilizer, which significantly increases crop yields in the same area of land, use mechanization, and support farmers to be able to produce. In other words, by addressing the cost, quality, and availability of inputs and associated direct production expenses, we were setting out to liberate our agricultural sector from chronic underperformance and transforming it into the primary driver of our bottom-up economic transformation agenda and the foundation of Kenya's prosperity, industrial capacity, and competitive advantage. Upon assuming office, therefore, I announced that the government would prepare farmers for the last planting season that was late last year by making available 300,000 metric tons or 6 million bags subsidized at 3,500 each, down from 7,000 a bag last season. The program was going to be accompanied by a farmer registration exercise and the deployment of an accurate and transparent e-voucher system for managing distribution of the farm inputs. We were also going to collaborate with county governments to facilitate last-mile delivery to farm gates. I am very happy that some county governments actually worked with us on this exercise, and we were able to open additional stores in different parts of the country. Earlier in the year, I presided over the launch of the first phase of the subsidized fertilizer program and the inaugural phase of the National Farmer Digital Registration exercise. For the first time in more than a decade, the fertilizer reached farmers in time to prepare for planting, and in that time, we delivered 2 million 50-kilogram bag to farmers last season. Similarly, since the onset of the long rains this year, we have prepared farmers in 41 counties and delivered to them 3,536,162 bags of crop-specific, region-specific fertilizer, and in the process registered more than 5 million farmers and issued 3,628,512 e-vouchers and established a last-mile distribution network. For the first time in our country's history, we are providing farmers with fertilizer whose formulation is customized to feed crops with their specific requirements of elements and address local soil nutrient composition. It is also the first time that fertilizer has been delivered directly to farmers on the basis of land acreage and crop production capacity, thanks to technology. Our last-mile logistics were enhanced through effective partnership with county governments, and as a result, counties and communities made warehouses and stores available to the National Cereals and Produce Board to serve farmers efficiently and as close to them as possible. ICT, once again, proved to be a game changer for our innovative intervention to serve farmers. After working with local administration to register farmers, and I must congratulate my deputy for spearheading that process, we collaborated with Safaricom to develop and deploy the fertilizer e-forger system to administer the fertilizer subsidy transparently, accurately, and efficiently. By cutting out brokers, middlemen, and other intermediaries, we have eradicated corruption and inefficiency from the program in order to concentrate maximum benefits on the farmer. The crops targeted by the e-voucher subsidized fertilizer program are maize, coffee, sugarcane, potatoes, rice, tea, cotton, edible oils, and tomatoes. The total amount spent so far on the fertilizer subsidy program is a small fraction of the annual cost of consumption subsidies, and yet its impact is nothing short of tremendous. In 2017, Kenya produced 39 million bags of maize. In 2018, production rose to 44 million bags of maize, but later came down to 40 in 2019, and again 40 million bags in 2021. Our target this year and annually going forward is to produce 61 million bags annually between this year all the way to 2027. Long rains annually account for 80% of our season production. From the long rain season alone, which is underway, and we want to thank God that we got rain this year, better than the last several years. We estimate a yield of 44 million bags in this season, compared to last year's 32 million bags. We estimate that we will get an extra 12 million bags, thanks, by the grace of God, to the rains that we got, thanks to the patriotism of our farmers